Level 1. The citizen. Inmin. You live in Chongjin, not Pyongyang. Pyongyang is for people who have already proven something. Chongjin is a port city in the northeast. Industrial, cold, far from the center of everything that matters. Your apartment block is concrete and grey and was built in 1974. The elevator hasn't worked since 1998. You live on the 4th floor with your parents and your younger sister. Your family's songbun is middle tier. Songbun is the classification system that determines everything about your life. Where you live, where you work, whether you can attend university, whether you can join the military, whether your children will have options or walls. It's based on your family's political loyalty going back 3 generations. Your grandfather was a factory worker who never caused problems. That's enough to keep you out of the lowest tier. It's not enough to get you anywhere near the top. You work at a textile factory 6 days a week. Your official salary is 3,000 won a month, enough for almost nothing. The real economy runs parallel to the official one. The Jangmadang, the informal markets, are where people actually survive. Your mother sells vegetables there on Sunday mornings. Nobody officially acknowledges this is happening. Everyone depends on it. You have a portrait of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong Un on your wall. Every home has them. An inspector comes twice a year to check that the portraits are clean, undamaged, positioned correctly. You clean them the day before you expect the inspection. Not because you were told to expect it, because everyone knows when to expect it. You don't say anything about your life that you wouldn't say in front of a stranger. You learned that before you learned to read too. Level 2. The worker. Rodongdang Ilyok. You joined the Korean Workers' Party at 23. Not everyone gets in. You need recommendations, a clean songbun record, demonstrated loyalty. You spent 2 years in the Youth League doing everything correctly, attending every meeting, volunteering for every initiative, saying every right thing at every right moment. You became very good at performing enthusiasm. Party membership changes things practically. You get access to better food distribution, a slightly better apartment assignment eventually, priority consideration for certain jobs. It's not wealth. Wealth is something else entirely, reserved for people much further up than you. But it's the difference between surviving and surviving with slightly more stability. The meetings are weekly. Every Thursday evening in a room above the local party office, 30 people sit in rows and discuss production targets, ideological education, reports from above. You take notes. You never say anything that contradicts anything. Once, a man 2 seats to your left made a mildly skeptical comment about an electricity shortage. Not critical exactly, just slightly outside the approved framing. He wasn't at the next meeting. Nobody asked where he was. You understood then that the meetings aren't about discussion. They're about demonstration. Every week you demonstrate in front of witnesses that you are aligned. The witnesses demonstrate the same thing in front of you. Everyone is watching everyone, and everyone knows it, and this shared knowledge is the actual mechanism of control. You never miss a Thursday. Level 3. The informant. Boweebu Eyes. You were recruited quietly. A man from the Ministry of State Security, the Boweebu, approached you after a party meeting. He was pleasant, unremarkable. He said he'd noticed your reliability, your discretion, your commitment to the party's values. He said the state needed people like you in every neighborhood, people who could observe, report, help maintain social stability. He never used the word informant. You said yes. You didn't feel like saying no was an option. Your job is simple in theory. You watch 12 households in your building. You note anything unusual, visitors who stay too long, conversations that drop to whispers when someone passes, signs of outside media consumption, economic activity that doesn't match official income. You file a report once a month, sometimes more if something significant happens. You have reported 3 people in 4 years. The first was a man who had a Chinese radio. The second was a woman whose son had been sending money from China through unofficial channels. The third you reported because you noticed something in his eyes when the loudspeaker announced a new party directive, a flicker of something that lasted less than a second. You don't know what happened to any of them. You don't ask. What you've gained: a small monthly supplement, occasional access to better food, and the knowledge that your own file at the Bowie Boo is clean because the man who would report you is you. What you've lost: the ability to look your neighbors in the eye without calculating. You stopped thinking about that calculation approximately 2 years ago. Level 4. The officer, Inmin Gun. The military took 6 years of your life. That's standard. Every able-bodied man serves, but you stayed longer. You were selected for officer training at year 3. Something about your scores, your discipline, the way you carried yourself. The Korean People's Army is 1.2 million strong. Officers are the layer that makes it function. You are stationed at a base outside Wonsan. Your unit is infantry, conventional, unglamorous, underfunded. The equipment is old. The food is insufficient. Your men are thin in a way that concerns you when you think about operational readiness, so you try not to think about it in those terms. What the military gives you: status, a uniform that means something, priority in food distribution, housing on base that is sparse but yours alone, and a position in the hierarchy that civilians look at differently, with deference, sometimes with fear, occasionally with the specific resentment of people who have no choice but to show deference. The ideology training is continuous, every week, sometimes every day. You recite the 10 principles of the monolithic ideological system. You lead your men through the recitation. You have said the words so many times they exist in your mouth like a physical object, present, automatic, disconnected from meaning. One of your subordinates has family in the south, distant cousins. He mentioned it once, quietly, as if testing something. You filed a report that evening. He was transferred within the week. You don't know where. You told yourself it was your duty. You still tell yourself that. It gets easier each time you tell yourself something to stop thinking about it. Level 5. The Party Elite. Kambu Pyongyang. You've been transferred to the capital. This is what years of correct behavior, correct reporting, correct performance of loyalty produces. Eventually, if you're fortunate, proximity to the center. Your apartment is in the Pyongyang Elite District. 2 bedrooms, running water that works most of the time. Access to a special distribution store where imported goods appear on shelves. South Korean electronics, European liquor, Chinese food products that the average citizen doesn't know exist. You work in a mid-level position at the Party Central Committee. Administrative. You process information flowing upward and directives flowing downward. You see things at this level that reframe everything you understood about the country from below. The gap between what is announced and what is real is so large that managing it requires its own infrastructure. You are part of that infrastructure now. You know which production statistics are accurate and which are adjusted before they reach the leadership. You know which regions are experiencing shortages that will never appear in any official report. You know things that, if spoken aloud to the wrong person, would end your life within 72 hours. This knowledge sits in you like ballast, heavy, permanent, useful only in the sense that it keeps you oriented. You always know exactly where you are in relation to the truth. Your children attend the Pyongyang Elite School. They will have options you never had. That's what this is for. You don't examine that thought too closely. Level 6. The General. Wonsu. There are perhaps 30 men in the country with your rank. You sit on the National Defense Commission. You attend meetings where actual decisions are made, not the performance of decisions that happens at lower levels, but the real thing. Resource allocation, military positioning, economic policy that will determine whether millions of people eat adequately this winter. Your uniform has more decoration than you can count. Each one represents something: a campaign, a commendation, a demonstration of loyalty at a critical moment. Some of them you earned through competence, some through being present when the right person needed witnesses, some through a combination of both that you've stopped trying to disentangle. You have a driver, a cook, a security detail, a dacha outside Pyongyang where you spend weekends, access to the special hospital where the equipment actually works and the doctors trained abroad. The danger at this level is invisible and total. One general was executed in 2013, another in 2015. Another disappeared so completely that his name became unspoken in meetings where it had previously been common. The reasons were various, or the stated reasons were various. The real reasons is always the same. The leadership perceived a threat, real or imagined, and removed it. You have learned to make yourself useful without making yourself visible, to contribute without suggesting ambition, to be indispensable without being threatening. It's the most precise performance of your life. You practice it every single day. Level 7. The Apparatchik, Supreme People's Assembly. You are one of 687 members of the Supreme People's Assembly. The outside world sometimes calls this the Parliament. That framing misunderstands its function entirely. The Assembly does not debate. It does not vote in any meaningful sense. It ratifies. It convenes twice a year, approves what has already been decided, and disperses. What membership means is proximity. You are close enough to the center that your name is known. Your face is recognized. You attend state ceremonies in the second or third row. You are photographed occasionally in the background of official images, a face among faces, present but not prominent. The real work happens in the corridors before and after the official sessions, in private dinners, in conversations that are careful enough to never be explicit, but clear enough that everyone understands exactly what's being communicated. You have access to the supreme leadership's thinking through intermediaries. You understand what is wanted before it is announced. This foreknowledge is your most valuable asset. The ability to be already aligned before alignment is demanded. You are 61 years old. You have survived 4 major purges by being perfectly calibrated to each moment. Not too prominent to be threatening, not too invisible to be expendable. The calibration never stops. You are always calculating. Level 8. The Supreme Leader, One Sunim. There is no one above you. There has never been anyone above you. Not in your understanding of the world. Not in the world as it has been constructed around you since birth. You are the third Kim, the grandson of the founder, the son of the dear leader. The current, living, breathing center of a system that has organized an entire nation around the premise of your indispensability. You are 40 years old. You control 1.2 million soldiers, nuclear weapons, the lives of 26 million people who cannot leave, cannot speak freely, cannot exist outside the story the state tells about itself. The story your grandfather began and your father continued, and you now embody. The loneliness of this position has no comparison. The people around you are performing. You know this because you've watched men perform loyalty your entire life, and you understand the mechanics of it completely. Your generals are afraid of you. Your advisors tell you what they calculate you want to hear. Your inner circle manages your perception of reality as carefully as state media manages the populations. You have had people executed, some for genuine threats, some for perceived threats that may or may not have been real. The line between the two became unclear to you a long time ago, and the ambiguity no longer concerns you the way it once did. What you feel most consistently is not power. Power is the water you swim in. You don't feel it as a separate thing. What you feel is the weight of the system, the obligation to maintain it, the knowledge that everything, the ideology, the infrastructure, the fear, the loyalty performances, the informants, the generals, the nuclear program, everything exists to ensure the continuation of something that was decided before you were born. You didn't choose this. You were chosen for it. You sit at the center of a country that is also a prison, that is also a religion, that is also a family, that is also a machine. And the machine runs. It always runs. Somewhere in Chongjin tonight, a loudspeaker is being tested for tomorrow morning. A child is asleep in a fourth-floor apartment. Concrete walls. A portrait on the wall that his mother cleaned last week without being asked. Tomorrow the loudspeaker will wake him at 6 a.m. He will get up. He won't think about whether he believes it. He already knows that belief is not the point. He learned it before he could read. The machine was running before he was born. It will be running long after.